Hello, everyone. Welcome to Watch My Pipe. My name's Kurt. Thanks again for tuning in. Today, we'll be doing the next in the series for my Wednesday watch review, and we'll be taking a look at my two-tone Pepsi bezel GMT Master 2. This is a sports watch, and it's a classic sports watch, if you will. It goes back to the classic thinner, not so clunky super case that we see in today's Rolex sports watches. But overall, it has some good things I'll say to hear about today, and also a few cons. But we'll get into that eventually, as this particular watch has an interesting story. So I'll try to keep this brief and give you a little bit of a background here. So back in, gosh, about 20 years ago, when I first started collecting watches, like most watch enthusiasts or anyone who likes watches, you always want to own a Rolex. The Pepsi was one that, for many, many, many years, always caught my eye. And over the 5 or 6 years it took me to save up to buy this watch, I knew pretty much that this was going to be the one for me. Um, the funny thing is when I went to the Rolex dealer that day, fate had some other plans. I got to the Rolex dealer, walked in, met the sales associate, and the manager walks out, and he's like, "You know what? You're never going to believe this." Goes back in the back and comes out with this watch. Well, not this watch specifically, but brings out a Pepsi bezel GMT. And I'm like, yes, love it, want it, gotta have it. And goes and then pulls out of the what is called the coffin a brand new 50th anniversary Submariner that someone had just passed on. And I happened to be the first regular customer of theirs to walk in the door that evening. And he said, "You're the first one here. I'm giving you first crack." Needless to say, um, I went for it, even though at the time I think that watch was about $2,000 more than what this one was. I'll get into the pricing a little bit later here, but needless to say, I did not purchase the Pepsi because at the time I was like, these are a dime a dozen. I'll save up some more money. I'll get a Pepsi, another time, because the 50th anniversary, including today, is damn near impossible to get at retail. So I jumped on the Kermit, grabbed the green bezel Submariner. The rest of that has another story I'll get into one day, but needless to say, about a year or two later, they discontinued the aluminum bezel Pepsi. And at the time, no one knew if it was ever going to come back. Now, obviously, it has come back in the ceramic version, which I don't have, and primarily because I absolutely love this version. So let me turn the camera around and go over some of the details and show you why I prefer this opposed to its big brother, the Supercase Pepsi GMT. Now that the camera's turned around, there is just a little bit more to this story, as this watch was acquired just a few Christmases ago, and it was a Christmas present from my most amazingly awesome fiance. Um, it was really quite funny because I was not expecting this as a gift, because when she wrapped it, it was in a ginormous box that was not just wrapped in paper, but it had a bicycle chain and a solid steel chain padlock, steel cables. I mean, it was no joke. This thing was locked up tighter than Fort Knox. But it took me quite some time, and I wish I had pictures of it now going back of what it looked like to show you. But I mean, this was, like I said, this was no joke. And what made it even funnier was, leading up to Christmas, my future mother-in-law kept referring to this gift as "quote unquote" the motorcycle. And I mean, the way she was talking, I thought I was getting a motorcycle. And when I saw the box and realized that this was the big gift, I'm like, well, that's not quite big enough for motorcycles, but let me say, any case, I was pleasantly surprised and eternally grateful for this gift, and you can pretty much imagine, and I've said this before, why this watch is my favorite in the collection that I have today, and it's for more than one reason. So let's talk a little bit more about the watch. So again, it's a K series, which puts its original manufacture date right around 2001. This is a great watch all around because, again, not only is it sporty, but it also can be worn with a suit because it's only about 12 millimeters thin. It's very sleek and it makes it very, very, very versatile. Now, one of the drawbacks to this watch, and any watch, in my opinion, of this era, is going to be the bracelet itself. It is made from the same steel, but it has the hollow center link bracelet. And in my opinion, I consider it very, very flimsy and light, and it just doesn't feel as luxurious as today's model. It does have the polished side end links with the satin top, and it also has the older clasp with the stamped logo and the stamped link pattern, which almost every time I put it on, I feel like I'm going to break it somehow. I mean, it does have the vintage rattle when you open it up here and you shake it a little bit. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but it's something that you don't find on today's Rolex sports watches. Again, this could just probably be me being a little paranoid, but it is what it is. The case itself has polished flanks, including on the crown guards, while the top, where the lugs are finished in a satin. The bidirectional bezel moves both ways, opposed to, it's kind of hard to do it with the gloves on here, but it moves both ways opposed to the Submariner, which only goes in one direction so you don't mess up your dive. But this, you can easily change time zones depending where you are, and you can go back and forth. The bezel insert is, of course, the Pepsi can style blue and red, and it is a aluminum insert, which in today's condition, I apologize about the cat here. Apparently, she wants to get in on the action and tell a little bit of a story. But the bezel itself is in excellent condition. If you've seen some of the older GMT Pepsi bezels, you'll find that a lot of these have faded over time, or the red specifically has changed color. There's even some older models out there where the red turned kind of a magenta. But this just tells me that whoever the previous owner of this watch was kept it in pretty good condition, especially since this is about 20 years old. The dial itself is black lacquered with gold hands and the indices, which are also white gold. And then inside the watch, Rolex uses the 3185 caliber movement, and it does have the screw down crown that gives you 100 meters of water resistance and about 48 hours of power reserve. To set the watch can be a little bit of a pain, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually quite simple. So first we're going to untwist here to get into the setting first position, which at this point, when you turn it clockwise, all you're doing is you're winding the watch, okay? So as you can see, the second hand is stuck because it hasn't been wound in a few days here. So we're going to wind it up and get that second hands going. Okay. So from here, what do? Now, this is a little bit different than your conventional three-hand watch. So you have an hour hand, a minute hand, a second hand, but this also has the red stick 24-hour hand to indicate this secondary time zone. We'll get that into that in a second. I have found, including with setting the date, that the first thing that I always do is pull it out to where the second hand stops, and you can set the time where the hour hand and the 24-hour hand match up exactly at midnight. Now, once your watch is set and you're changing time zones, it's a little bit different, and I'll get to that in a second. But at least from here, we can now set the time where the hour and the 24 hand are exactly the same. So let's go ahead and turn this to about the right time. And I'm not going to even pay attention to the date, and it's a little bit after 6 p.m. here. So you kind of get an idea how long it takes me once I edit this and get this up later this evening. So we're going to set the, I'm not going to worry about the second hand, but I know there's a lot of watch people out there that get a little funky with that. But it's about 6:40. So let's go to 6:40, and we're going to set the time at 6:40. Now again, it's also set to the 24-hour or military time for 1840. And then I'm going to push this in once. Oops, I pushed it twice. It's a little sensitive. Where the second hand starts going. But now I can also move the hour hand, and it doesn't stop the watch. So it does have the hour hacking. So now I can spin this around to get to the right date, which is now the second, and come back around here to the 6 o'clock position, and we're good to go. Now, once you're done, you would push this back in, twist the crown back in, lock it in, and you're good to go. And then, of course, you could always change the 24-hour bezel here, or you can go back and set the hour time to the future or destination that you're going, the same way we just changed the date. In either case, I have found that this is the easiest way to set the watch. So I'm going to go ahead and lock this back in here since I got the right time set, and we're good to go. So this is my 2001 K-Series Rolex GMT. Hopefully you like these videos. Give me a thumbs up. Continue to tell your friends about this channel. Have them subscribe. And then coming this Saturday, I will be doing the final review for Sutliff's Crumble Cake Vapor Mixture. I wish all of you well. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one, everyone.